Kings have none. Scott Perry said in his introductory presser, we need a point guard. It's priority number one.
Yep.
Got to figure that out. So we're going to figure it out for him. It's the purpose of this program. If you'd like to participate, 916-909-1320, 916-909-1320. This is the Insiders. That's James Ham and Kyle Madsen. All right. I want to get this out of the way quick because I think I know the answer.
Okay.
There's no in-house option here, right?
So my first reaction is no. I don't think Devin Carter is a pure point guard at all. At all. I think he's just a combo guard.
Yep.
And then I believe that Malik Monk is closer to a point guard than anything else that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think that you can survive an NBA season with Malik Monk and Zach LaVine as your starting backcourt, just defensively. So
yeah, and I just on the Malik thing real quick before you continue, I also think that asking him to be I hate this phrase, but pure point guard, takes away from what makes Malik Monk valuable.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
So I don't know that you want him to be your starting point guard, because in an ideal world, if he is, well, then he's not helping in the ways that he's best at helping.
I agree, but I also think there is a way in which you can support him and make him into a point guard. And again, this team doesn't need a pure point guard because they have Domantas Sabonis. And I would like to see Domas get back up to the 8 assists he averaged the year before.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right? I totally disagree with what happened down the stretch where it became ISO ball and just not a fun watch, but just out of desperation, trying to get through with the season and trying to hold on. Right. And I thought they went away from Domas as the primary hub on offense, and his points per game dipped and his assist numbers dipped. And I just thought it was a huge mistake. I think you can go back to Malik Monk as a starting point guard, but you have to have Keon Ellis starting next to him in the backcourt. And that means you've got to move Zach LaVine to the 3, or Zach LaVine can't be there anymore. And I still don't know if that works, but it's something that I would at least try, because I know how good Malik Monk is as a pick and roll point guard. But
is your offense going to be pick and roll heavy?
Well, it would have to be. And you don't have the players for a pick and roll heavy offense.
Right.
So, I mean, you can with Domas and a little bit with Valanciunas, but you also need like an above the rim finishing guy.
To me, if you're gonna build out a more cohesive roster, because that's what this is about, right? Kings have a lot of players that in a vacuum are good, but the cohesion is not there. So to me, if you're gonna have a cohesive roster, you need somebody who's not Malik Monk running the point for you. Because I think there were a couple times last year where it was a little bit disorganized offensively, because you didn't have let's go to the conference finals, a Mike Conley. Mike Conley's going to knock down some threes, and he's going to make sure that things don't get out of control between Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards and ISO ball and all this stuff. He's going to bring the ball up. He's going to get the team into his offense, and then he's going to go hang out in the corner. And he'll shoot it if it comes to him.
He's an organizer.
Yes, and that's what I think. That's what I think Sacramento's going to need. And so, can Malik Monk run the point at times, or in a pinch play that spot? Like, yeah, for sure. We've seen it. We've seen him be a really good distributor. Like that's without question. But I think if you're talking starting point guard day one, I think ideally Malik Monk is your 6th man, and you have a starting point guard who is to use your word, an organizer. Just get everybody in the right place and then get into the offense.
Yeah,
that's something that I don't know that I trust Malik Monk to do for 82 games.
Well, I think the other problem too, I'm going to bring this up, and I don't like harping on him, because I don't think like Malik Monk is in bad shape, right? I think he's in good shape. But he's a hooper.
Yes.
He's not like a workout warrior.
Yes.
Right. And he loves to golf. He loves his off time.
Yeah.
And
among us.
I'm not like begrudging him for that at all. But
if I had his money, I would do the same thing. FYI.
Yeah, totally.
I don't have his money, and I do that.
Yeah. But I think Malik Monk, when you put him in a starting role and you started to play him 32 minutes a night, 31.6 minutes a night, I think he wore out really quickly. He played 65 games this season, 45 as a starter. If you look at his per 36 minutes, so the season before, he averaged 26 minutes a night, right? And you think, oh, well, at least this year he averaged 17.2 versus 15.4. He was a better player. He wasn't. The per 36 minute looks like 19.6 points per game as in this last season as a starter half the time, and versus 21.3 the year before. 6.3 assists as a primary point guard versus 7.1 the year before. He was better in limited minutes, in less minutes. And I think that's just his role is to play, it can get up to 28 minutes, but if he's going to be a full-fledged starter, he better come into the season with that in mind, and that means like you got to be able to run a marathon.
Sure.
Because that's what the NBA is. And the energy that he plays with, if you lose that energy, which I think the Kings miss so much with him moving to the starting lineup, it just killed them. You need him to be at his best. And when he's at his best, it's as like a disruptive force, giving everything he has for 13, 14 minutes at a time, and then another 13 or 14 minutes in the second half.
Yeah.
And they just haven't been able to do that with him moving to the starting lineup.
Yeah, man. For me, and obviously with no first round pick, you're not going to find your starting point guard in the draft.
Nope.
So to me, where I stand on things, and I think probably where Scott Perry stands on it, is there's not an in-house option, because that's not maximizing what you're getting out of Malik Monk. At least for me. So let's do free agent options first, because this is a list of dudes that is primarily what you talked about yesterday. What was the issue you've had with how the Kings have added point guards in the past?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is if you go out and get a bunch of players who they're solid NBA players, right? Like Darren Collison, solid NBA player. Ty Lawson, solid NBA player. Even, the version of Isaiah Thomas that they had. And you just keep looking at, like, until they got to the De'Aaron Fox era, they didn't have a true, like, number one dude. And these guys, they're fine. But if you're going to have a mid point guard, if you're going to have a guy who is in between 20 and 30 in the league and NBA point guards, you're not going to be very good. You're going to be limited by how good your point guard is, especially in a league that it's so point guard heavy. So, teams that don't have like really, really strong point guards typically aren't very good. And the only way around that is if you have sort of this all-in-one combo dude,
right?
Which we see from, the Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander. We see it from Luka. You see it from LeBron, like the guy who has the ball in his hands the whole time. He's not the point guard, but
just a singular offensive force.
Yeah. You're James Hardens of the world, who, has been a true point guard for points of his career, but still more of a scorer. So, like the Kings don't have either of those, because Zach LaVine is not that.
No.
And that's okay. Like I'm not, that's not a dig on Zach LaVine.
No, it's just not. Yeah, it's just not. That would be like saying they need a center. Zach LaVine is not that.
Yeah.
It's not the role he plays.
I mean, go back to like the early 2000 Bucks. Zach LaVine is more Ray Allen than he is Sam Cassell. Like, that's as a player, that's who he is. So,
all right. So let me give you a bunch of names that fit that exact description.
Yep.
If you want to stop on any of these names, let me know. I think Ty Jerome can run the point for you.
Okay.
Going to be a free agent.
That's a possibility.
Not inspiring for me. Ty Jerome is a starting point guard. Feels like the kind of thing that happens, and 40 games in, you go, oh no. Like, he was good off the bench for a really good Cleveland team. He's not a starter for a team that's trying to get back to the playoffs.
You could say he's a poor man's Malik Monk.
Sure.
In certain
sure. Yeah.
So, okay.
How's Chris Paul grab you?
I don't think Chris Paul's going to come to Sacramento.
Probably not.
But he's also it's fine. He's an organizer. One of the great point guards that we've ever seen. But at this point, he's 39?
Yeah, he played 82 games last year. Look, if Chris Paul is available, and San Antonio might just want him back.
Yeah.
To be a
mentor,
player coach type of guy.
Well, he's 40. He's already 40.
Is he 40?
He's 40.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm not a big Chris Paul guy. I'm still in on the Chris Paul idea. Just be a teacher, run the point, play 20 minutes a night.
Can I tell you the problem with that?
You'd need another point guard to play the other 28 minutes he's not playing.
Who is he teaching?
Everyone. Just where to be on the floor.
But the problem is you don't have the star pupil to put next to him. So
organizing.
It's one thing if he's organizing and he's teaching Stephon Castle how to be a point guard.
Uh-huh.
You don't have Stephon Castle. You don't have an NBA point guard.
Okay. But Zach LaVine after a year under Chris Paul. Yeah, no, I guess I see what you're saying. Okay. What about Fred VanVleet? Fred VanVleet has a $42 million team option this year.
It would just be so difficult to get Fred VanVleet, and then once you got him, because I don't think he's opting out, and if he does opt out, he's not going to sign him.
I think it's a team option, isn't it?
You're right. You're right. It is a team option, but and they pushed the team option back a little bit closer to like after the draft. I just don't know that you can trade for Fred VanVleet, because again, it's $42 million in order to get
assuming they pick up that option.
Yeah,
which they probably might, because I don't know that are they ready to just give Reed Shepherd the keys.
Well, you're right. They're probably going to pick up that option, but also what sense does it make? Because in order to get him financially, you're going to have to give up Zach LaVine, and so at least you would have a point guard, I guess, would be the answer there. But
and now is Malik Monk you're starting to,
or is Keon Ellis you're starting to, maybe you can figure that out.
Sure.
But at the same time, I don't think that Houston is going to trade for Zach LaVine, and I don't think they're going to take on $49 million. So I don't think he's an option, because in order to piece together another deal that included DeMar DeRozan, it would have to be DeMar DeRozan, it'd have to be Valanciunas, and it would have to be Devin Carter for one season of Fred VanVleet at $42 million.
All right, we're 0 for 3. Keep in mind here, guys, I just want this to be abundantly clear in case anybody's coming in mid-conversation. These are just names. These are not people that I'm like,
yeah, you're not pining for any of these.
Right, okay. Yeah. We're 0 for 3, though, on names that I wrote down. Malcolm Brogdon.
I love Malcolm Brogdon as a player. He just can't stay healthy.
Now, Malcolm Brogdon would be a great backup point guard if you had a legit starter.
Yes.
D'Angelo Russell?
No.
D'Angelo Russell running the point?
No, D'Angelo Russell, one of my least favorite players to watch in the NBA.
I'm super out.
So inconsistent.
Dennis Schroeder.
He's the first one that you're at least like, okay, but again, this is Darren Collison. It's the same thing. It's like you're looking at a guy who's going to be maybe the 22nd best point guard in the NBA.
Yeah.
Maybe a little lower than that. Again, if that's your answer, you're pretty mid.
He's another one that I don't mind him as a backup. But if you're signing him as hey, he's going to be our starter. He's going to play 34 minutes a night. Probably in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and
pesky defender though.
Yeah, I don't
hate a lot of big games.
I don't hate the idea, but if you're going to get Dennis Schroeder, that means that you have to get such an incredible player at the small forward position.
Sure.
That it makes sense.
Okay.
Got me.
What about Trey Jones? Tyus Jones' brother. 25 years old.
Yeah, both of the Jones brothers, again.
Both Joneses.
Yeah.
Have a lot of Joneses.
Just have, twice the Joneses. Jones squared. I would be okay with one or both. And I just don't, again, it's not a needle mover, and it is very much a game manager minus, right? This is 2 years ago, Tyus Jones was on Washington. He had a $10 million salary. They tried to trade him for a first round pick. No one would take it. They tried to trade him for a second round pick. No one would take his contract and he was an expiring contract at $10 million.
Yeah.
And then it got down to the wire, and they were asking for a second, and it was too late. And teams were like, yeah, we've already moved on.
And then he signed for a league minimum in Phoenix.
Yeah. And I thought that would be a really good thing for Phoenix. But again, I thought it'd be a really good thing for Phoenix because they had Devin Booker, and they had Kevin Durant, and they had Bradley Beal, and a great shooter. And, overall, I thought that would work. It didn't work. And so I'm now kind of at the point where it's okay, that is really, really a low. If you make that move, that's fine. But you've got to have somebody else that you're bringing along to be the next actual point guard.
I was so certain that this conversation was going to bleed into tomorrow. It's certainly going to bleed into the handoff with, I think it's Kenny Caraway today from D'Lo and Casey. He's going to join us next. I want to keep running through these free agent options because there's a couple of names left on here. Well, there's a few names left, but there's two that really jump out as, to me, intriguing.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that next.